Meet one of the most popular sports on the planet, basketball. Created by a Canadian and perfected by the Americans, basketball is more than a game, but a global phenomenon, with a wave of international players hitting the shores of the States and calling the NBA home. Some players are best known for their brawn, others for their precision shooting. Whatever the case, that NBA home has turned them into some of the world's most recognized and best paid athletes. But whether you're a big man with muscles or a smaller man who can jump, no baller can outdunk the truth. In poetry, the term slam is used to describe an author's rhythmic prose.
Ask my aunt and my brother and my stressed out mother how realistic it gets. It's sadistic. Statistics show it's sick how we living. The one thing bigger than dope games is prisons.
But in sport, slam has a few different meanings. In baseball, for example, when the bases are loaded and a player hits a home run, the bases are cleared, causing a grand slam. For tennis players, a grand slam refers to one of the major competitions on tour. In wrestling, to body slam an opponent involves lifting them high above the ground and, in a spectacular show of bravado, slamming them to the canvas. Good job, big man. While in the big man sport of basketball, the word is associated with one of the most fabulous forms of scoring 2 points, the slam dunk. First seen performed in the mid-1930s, at the turn of the century, it developed into the most dazzling part of the game, thanks to the man known as Vinsanity, Vince Carter.
For whatever professional person you want to become, there's levels that you have to take.
The 6'6" Carter was a human highlight reel, thanks to his insane leaping ability and slam dunks. But his and the sport's most awe-inspiring slam happened at the 2000 Sydney Games.
I know I go on the stage.
Because it was there that he dunked over and humiliated poor 7'2" Frenchman Frederick Weiss with a slam known as Le Dunk de la Mort, or the dunk of death. Why on me, he lamented. I'm going to be the poster dunk, and I don't like this. He may not have liked it, but the basketball world loves a great slam dunk, and few have been better at it than the 8-time NBA All-Star. Coming up, basketball, the universal game. It is the undisputed second biggest sport in the world behind football. Basketball boasts over 1 billion followers, with the NBA generating over $4.75 billion a year in revenue. The game also has the second most professional leagues on the planet, the second highest average wage in team sports, and has a marketability that helps their athletes really stand out. Needless to say, basketball is a marketing melting pot and a big global business. Internationally, the game may be dominated by the Americans, but it wasn't even an American who invented it. That honor goes to Canadian James Naismith.
These are the very first set of rules for the game of basketball, and they were typed up the morning of December 1891 when James Naismith first introduced this game to a class of students at the Springfield YMCA Training College. It's the birth certificate, if you will, of one of the world's most popular sports.
Since that day, American men and women have adopted it as one of their sports of choice. From gymnasiums to the streets, it has influenced everything from music culture to clothing and shoes. It has also influenced athletes born overseas. The greatest non-Americans who ended up representing the Stars and Stripes include Nigerian-born center Hakeem Olajuwon, the two-time NBA champion who ended his career as the league's all-time leader in blocks. There is five-time NBA champion and two-time MVP Tim Duncan, who redefined the power forward position, even if swimming was his sport of choice in his native Virgin Islands. And 11-time All-Star Patrick Ewing, who never won an NBA title, but still took home 2 gold medals with Team USA at the Olympics. But of all the ballers who have made it big in the NBA, nobody has flown the foreigner flag better than a big man from an unlikely source. Germany is a nation of famous footballers and beer drinkers. And during the nation's annual drinking festival, Oktoberfest, it becomes a nation of famous footballers drinking beer.
Yeah, it's natural. It's all normal. A tradition. I won't drink too many beers, but today is a special day, and I think I can have a beer or 2.
So it's strange to think that perhaps the greatest non-American to play basketball would come from such a nation. That is, until you see him. Born in West Germany during the Cold War, Dirk Nowitzki was destined to be a pro handball player like his dad, but eventually grew too tall not to give basketball a try. Dirk became one of the game's greatest ever power forwards, a 7-foot-tall beast with a benevolent smile, and known as the Dunking Deutschman.
I've been around the game for over 30 years now. I've played with a lot of Hall of Fame players: Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Bill Walton, Patrick Ewing, Robert Parrish. And Dirk is as good or better than any of them.
After taking the German league by storm while playing for Wolfsburg, he caught the eye of the Dallas Mavericks, who traded for him at the 1998 NBA draft. Little did they know, they just landed a legend. Between his debut season in 1998 and the end of the 2016 campaign, Nowitzki averaged 22 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 2.5 assists per game. He is also the first European to win the NBA MVP award back in 2007. But his crowning moment was the 2011 campaign, when he guided the Mavs all the way to the NBA title.
Last year was really special. The group was special. We had great chemistry, and I was so happy for the whole organization and for the city.
That's it.
He was later lauded by the president of the country he now calls home.
Dirk joined the Maverick 13 years ago as a skinny kid from Germany with what he describes as a goofy haircut. Last year, he became the second European player ever to be named Finals MVP, and it wasn't easy. He bent a finger so badly in Game 2 that he had to shoot left-handed. In Game 4, he played through 101-degree fever, but every time he came through when it counted. And I think it's fair to say that we have very rarely seen a better playoff run than Dirk Nowitzki had last year.
Having conquered a state known more for their barbecues than bratwurst in such a convincing manner, You can only imagine how he's revered back in Germany. Because not only did he put the sport on the German map, he breathed new life into the national team, leading the nation to a 2002 World Championship bronze and a 2005 Eurobasket silver medal. So it was no surprise that German filmmakers decided to make a documentary about him, which premiered in Cologne in 2014. Dirk Nowitzki is not only arguably Germany's most marketable global athlete, but to many, its most inspiring.
For me, he's a big role model because he went to America with pretty much nothing, and he was just good in his sport, and he built himself up just by his talent, by his dedication. I think that's brilliant, and that shows a lot about the values that I think we try to teach the kids in Germany.
If Dallas and Dirk Nowitzki became an unexpected match made in heaven, there is another Texan team that has turned to foreigners to become a modern-day dynasty. The San Antonio Spurs have confidently employed internationals ever since their 1997 first overall draft pick. Tim Duncan of the US Virgin Islands became the team's greatest ever player. The Spurs captured 5 NBA titles between 1999 and 2014, with a handful of non-native Hall of Fame caliber talents, and the guidance of their courageous coach, the legendary Greg Popovich. Just ask French point guard Tony Parker.
I think when Pop put me in the starting 5, they started to respect me in the NBA. Because back then, no European point guard had success. So I think the timing was right. Then I improved step by step, and I think people got used to it.
And then there's Manu Ginobili. Born in the land of Maradona and Messi, the Argentinian is one of only 2 players to have won a EuroLeague title, an Olympic gold medal, and an NBA championship.
For a while, I think in America, we kind of got away from the basics and got a little caught up in the ESPN shoot the 3 or dunk it kind of thing. While coaches overseas were going to clinics and playing basketball and doing it the right way. And so I thought a lot of players became skilled and they played the game in a fashion that makes it fun for everybody.
After the break, the greatest ballers of all time. Naming the greatest of all time in any sport is never really easy. Because sports evolve, and different eras present different styles of play, and different players who dominate it. Though it seems there are a few exceptions. For men's ice hockey has Wayne Gretzky, and women's tennis has Serena Williams. It's no different in basketball, as it seems the consensus is up in the air. For a man who played the game better than anyone else, it's interesting to consider that basketball wasn't Air Michael Jordan's first love.
Actually, I started in baseball when I was 6, and then my family, my father took my brother and I to a YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, and got me started in basketball when I was 12 years old. And from that point on, I've been in love with the game of basketball.
He fell in love with basketball, basketball fell in love with him, and we all fell in love with him and basketball. Group hug. Jordan ended his career a 6-time NBA champion and 6-time NBA Finals MVP. He's a 14-time All-Star and 5-time MVP, and for all the points he scored, he currently ranks 4th all-time He made the NBA All-Defensive First Team 9 times and was named the league's Defensive Player of the Year in 1988. In other words, he was the most complete, dominant force of nature the game has ever seen. Since his third and final retirement in 2003, he's leaped his way into his business ventures. Having earned $93 million salary during his playing career, a majority of his fortune now comes from his 80% stake in the NBA's Charlotte Bobcats. And of course, there's the shoes. His mammoth endorsement deal with Nike led to the creation of the iconic Air Jordan trainers, and a Jordan brand that remains a billion-dollar sales business.
In the 30 years that we've been doing this, being able to put that big logo on the shoe is actually saying that the innovation and the technology and everything about that product is Jordan approved.
I was headed to South Carolina. The most unfortunate thing was
But Jordan is more than just money. He's a philanthropist with a deep connection to and concern for children and their future.
my message to the kids is it's okay to dream. Everybody has an opportunity to dream, but it's certain realities that you have to take in consideration. Basketball for me was a hobby. You know, I played it as a hobby, but I went to school to learn about life and how to make the right choices.
In essence, thanks to this man, everyone on the planet knows at least something about basketball. Take it away, Mr. Obama.
Michael Jordan is the Michael Jordan of greatness. He is the definition of somebody so good at what they do that everybody recognizes. That's pretty rare.
If Michael Jordan wasn't so rare, the honorable mentions would be getting more than just a mention. Like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Here's how great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was. 1967, he had spent a year dominating college basketball. The NCAA bans the dunk. They didn't say it was about Kareem, but it was about Kareem. When a sport changes its rules to make it harder just for you, you are really good.
A fellow recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom alongside Air Jordan, like Jordan, Kareem won 6 NBA titles and remains the league's leader in points and MVP awards. The league's next big modern-day superstar after Michael Jordan, no disrespect to Kobe Bryant, was high school superstar turned pro superstar LeBron James. Though the knock against the self-proclaimed king is that he only wins championships when he's surrounded by a champion supporting cast, James still managed to win 3 NBA titles between 2012 and 2016. He is the most dominant player of the 21st century, but even he must admit that overall, someone else was simply better.
I always say my inspiration came from Jordan, but I always thought Jordan was so out of this world that I could never get there.
We couldn't agree more, King James. The man who scored 100 points in a game, Wilt Chamberlain, is also high on the list, having won 2 NBA championships and the fear of his opponents thanks to his incredible stature and scoring and rebounding ability. Another is 5-time NBA champion Magic Johnson, who put the show in Showtime while with the Los Angeles Lakers, which earned him 3 MVP and Finals MVP awards. And then there is Bill Russell, the man who made defense fashionable. Russell made the NBA Finals in 12 of his 13 seasons, winning a staggering 11 titles. If the greatest ever conversation in the men's game is relatively clear-cut, the women's side is a little hazier. But when the smoke does settle, generally, it's Diana Taurasi that comes out on top. Considered one of the WNBA's top 15 players of all time, the 5-time WNBA scoring champion seems to have done her best work with the Stars and Stripes at the Olympics. Because while the 6-foot-tall shooting guard won 3 WNBA championships between 2007 and 2014, she's been nothing but golden at the games. Taurasi has taken home the gold medal in every Olympics she's participated in, 4 in total, between Athens 2004 and Rio 2016. Honorable mentions go to 3-time WNBA MVP and 4-time Olympic gold medalist Lisa Leslie, who put women's basketball into the spotlight by becoming the first female to dunk in the WNBA. Fellow 4-time Olympic champion Sue Bird is another who gets consideration on the list. As a 9-time WNBA All-Star between 2002 and 2015, she had a memorable collegiate career with UConn. Australia's Lauren Jackson elbows her way into the equation thanks to her multiple WNBA scoring championship and league titles. In fact, her homeland thought so highly of her, they bestowed upon her the honor of carrying her nation's flag at London 2012.
It's been overwhelming, really, and the people that are closest to me, they're just so excited and happy.
Played in all 89.
And finally, Maya Moore has won championships wherever she's played and has been an integral part of both her collegiate team at UConn, where she helped the Huskies set a record by winning 89 straight games, and Team USA, where she made her international debut back in 2009.
I think a great way to remind everyone. As the United States, we want to represent well no matter who we're playing. We're going to have respect for the game and make sure that we leave it all out on the floor when we're competing and when we're training, because there are certain standards that we hold for ourselves regardless of who we're playing. So I think that's how we stay focused. We compete hard. We want to make history. You know, just because we've won gold medals in the past as USA Basketball, we want to win more. And I'm just excited to be a part of that and to continue that legacy on.
Still to come, putting a different spin on things. Basketball may be a pastime played by most of the world, but the NBA-style game isn't the only one out there. 3-on-3 basketball, once known simply as street basketball, has been a breeding ground for some of the greats, from Chamberlain to Jabbar to Dr. J, Julius Erving.
The roots of 3-on-3 basketball are going in the 90s with the street basketball, where it was very popular all over the world, where the big companies organized big festivals with street basketball. And then FIBA decided to embrace it.
It has a great future, the 3-on-3. That's what we all hope, that it will become an Olympic discipline.
Meanwhile, there's another form of basketball that has a few fans jumping for joy with excitement. Trampoline basketball. Also known as Slamball, it's a combination of basketball and gymnastics, and gives those incapable of ever dunking a basketball on their own the chance to fulfill an otherwise impossible dream. However, no version of the game has been more spectacular than that played by the mythical Harlem Globetrotters.
Dude, perfect. Big easy loft. Blindfold. Hook shot. Best in the business.
Originating as an exhibition basketball team from Chicago in the 1920s, the Globetrotters have trotted the globe, showing off their sublime skills while breaking a few world records along the way. And the odd backboard. It may look fun, but being a Globetrotter isn't easy. Just ask William Bull Bullard, who escaped serious injury during an exhibition game in Honduras after a hoop gave way following a monster dunk. Nonetheless, the occupational hazards are few, and the air miles are many. as these ballers discriminate no destination.
We're as Globetrotters, we've been to 120 different countries and territories around the world. I don't think Cuba is a place that we've actually been to, but I'm sure if they open the doors for us, there's not anywhere that we won't play.
It's a big man's game. It's a little man's game. It's every man and woman's game. Basketball is one of those sports that turns street ballers into superstars, college players into champions, and households into household names. But above all, whether you're Jordan, James, or just a guy who likes to shoot a few hoops, it's a sport that unifies nations. And that is the truth.